to make that decision.
Do you have the parking lot next to it?
Yes,
Okay.
So is that where they're
You're
gonna
gonna
pay?
unify
Yeah.
those into one,
yes, so I'm gonna put, there's gonna be 6 spaces on by Railroad Street. There'll be 6 spaces there, and then the walkway will actually lead to the building where the apartments, and the entrance will be at the back of the building.
How much do you anticipate renting those?
At this time, I'm considering around 700. It's not set in stone, yeah.
What is the business in the front office?
It's my personal business, I just need some more space. I have other rental properties too, so I just need to be able to have.
So it's not actually a retail.
It's not a retail
business.
No,
business,
no,
it's
no,
just
no,
an
no, no,
office.
no, just an office, yeah.
Any other questions or discussion?
it's too bad Steve left, because this got by P and Z. We had a long conversation about.
Well, but you have P and Z's findings of fact, you know, attached also. What was the vote coming out of P and Z? 3 yes, 1 no.
3-1 and
2 absent. Who was present? P and Z?
I don't have the notes.
Okay, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Any other questions or discussion? If not, we have an ordinance, which is ordinance number 19-41, an ordinance granting a special use for an office and 2 studio apartments in a B1 district, 112 West Corning Avenue.
Hey, that's one more question.
Absolutely.
You said you have other rentals in the
Yes.
town? Can you give me an idea of your portfolio?
Yes, I have 209 Old Second Street. I have 3 rental units on the 2nd floor. There's a big building there.
Okay.
And I do have the property in Worth as well.
Thanks.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by trustee Ham, seconded by trustee Maravka.
Ham,
Yes.
Maravka,
Yes.
Jones,
No.
March,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
and Bell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Number 3, draft ordinance for recreational cannabis dispensary for review. Go ahead, this one's yours.
All right, thanks. So, you guys have talked about cannabis for a couple meetings. I understand at the last meeting there was some direction to bring back an ordinance. So we put together a draft. One thing to keep in mind is, unlike the new recreational uses, when medical and dispensaries and cultivation centers came along a few years ago, you couldn't prohibit those altogether. So that's why you see those in your zoning code right now. Those are special uses in the I2 district. Okay, and so it's my understanding that you wanted to allow the recreational use dispensaries in addition. Added those in the I1 district along with the medical dispensaries on the assumption that if you're okay with the recreational, you'd be okay in the I1 with the medical as well. I2 will allow all the different types of dispensary uses plus the medical cultivation center. And in the B3, we again have the medical and adult use dispensaries. All right, and preliminarily we have a prohibition altogether on the other business establishments, which are craft growers, infusers, processing organizations, and transporting organizations. If you guys want to change that, that's fine. And then the ordinance goes on to set various things. So when somebody brings in an application for a special use, they, in addition, as part of that, have to turn in a plan of operations, a security plan, a lighting plan, information on the building, a site plan, signage plan, and a parking plan. Okay, and then I left a blank for distance requirements. So you used to have 1,500 distance requirements for the medical dispensaries from different uses, but with recent changes in the law, that is no longer a state law. That used to reflect state law, but it no longer does. So if you guys want to keep that 1,500 and apply that to all these different dispensaries, you're free to. If you want something smaller, if you only wanted to apply to certain uses, distant requirements from schools only, for instance. However you want to do it, you can set it up that way. So that's a blank, and that's a subject for you to kind of digest and provide further direction on. In addition, we just had a few other additional use regulations that we built in. No consumption of the product on site, no food sales on site, some restrictions on product visibility, so people aren't walking by and seeing, through the window, different displays of the product. The requirement that the proprietor enter into a parking enforcement agreement with the village. It allows the village to go on the parking lot and enforce some traffic regulations and prevent loitering and that sort of thing. The state set hours for dispensaries are 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. You do have the power to modify that if you like. We did put the 7 to 10 in there as a starting point. Requirement that businesses cooperate with the village, restrictions on odors beyond the property line. A requirement that if they have violations that they're prosecuted by the state for some reason, who's the licensing authority, for doing something wrong, they have to give you notice of that so that you guys know about that. And no multi-tenant buildings, and the special use is specific to that individual applicant and does not run with the land, which is what a special use would do unless you restrict it like that. So the next step is for you guys to just kind of, are you okay with this? And then moving on to planning and zoning for a public hearing and further talk, and they'll send you back the recommendation.
You said no multi-tenant buildings, so no strip malls?
Right.
Is that what that means?
Yep.
Why?
Because you had that in the old one.
Okay. I didn't know.
I didn't have a particular reason for it.
No,
I was
didn't
just
know
trying to
if
carry
it was-
over
if
some
it
of your
was
existing
modeled
things.
after, anything.
No, I don't think it's inappropriate in a strip mall, but that's a policy decision for you guys to make.
When you were reading off like what they need to bring
Turn
to us, turn in, did you include landscaping on there?
I did not, we can add that
Totally
though.
joking, but
What, if you wanted to look at it?
P&C's got that covered.
Okay.
So, the tax that we can, put on is 3% additional sales tax, right?
Right.
So, obviously that's separate from this ordinance, but
Yes.
we would wanna pass that concurrently, right, because,
Right, so at the time that you get the ordinance back from P and Z and are ready to act on it, we can send you, that's an easy ordinance to put together.
Yeah.
You can have that on the same agenda, it doesn't need to go anywhere.
right, yeah. Okay.
When you mention food product, does that mean edibles, or does that mean just
It's
regular
more
food?
just like, selling burgers to eat at the place
Got
too, and stuff like that.
Hot brownies.
So,
So the brownies and the edibles would be consumption of the product on presence, we're also
Okay.
barring the food because we don't want
Got it.
it to be like a
A
hangout.
restaurant.
Right. so, I mean, I think we need to reduce that 2,500 feet, 'cause-
The 2,500 feet is for the medical cultivation centers, and that remains
Oh.
under state law. So
okay,
that's why I left the 2,500 in there.
okay,
There's no distance requirement for recreational cultivation centers, but we haven't really addressed those are prohibited under your ordinance. And then the blank is just for the dispensaries. What do you want to say about the dispensaries and
and
the
what do other villages, I mean, what's typical?
What is it for liquor, like for,
Liquor is 100 feet from,
anything with children,
yeah,
Yeah.
schools, daycares,
churches,
I think.
schools, churches.
I think Riverside did 500 feet, but from schools only. Trying to think of any others I'm familiar. So it varies, but they're not
that would be
doing 50 1,500 feet necessarily, and
Right.
they're not doing a big range of uses.
Right. I mean, I think addressing the schools is, you know,
In the parks.
schools and parks.
So what is, 500 feet is like,
School.
is what, 1/10 of a mile, right? So like a block,
A block away.
away?
I think it's
At
three
least
blocks,
like
like 660.
3 blocks.
Yeah.
500, so it's probably 2 of our blocks.
Yeah,
It's pretty far.
yeah.
We'll be down to like the one spot.
I think if you restrict the schools, I mean, park, you could say park, I mean, all of our parks are
Kind of
far enough away from any kind of a business district.
But what
It's not
about
gonna-
residential neighborhood? Because that's what, I mean, residential zoning district, how far
Mhm.
away?
And maybe away from, well,
Yeah.
like the kinder care or whatever, Miss Nikki's.
I mean, you just wanna leave
daycare,
that,
daycare.
leave that out.
So how do we do this? Do we restrict it from places or do we allow it in places?
You restrict it from places, what the state law gives you permission to do is set a distance requirement from whatever you decide are sensitive uses. So, that's what.
See, I wouldn't necessarily put any kind of a distance restriction on a residential area because some of your business areas are
Right.
abutting residential
Right.
areas, so that doesn't make any sense. I think addressing the schools, parks, I mean, I think those are two easy things to pick out for some kind of a distance.
Yeah, you have to
restriction.
remember too that this is a special use, so any request is gonna be back before you to determine whether it's appropriate at that particular location.
Okay.
The thing that makes me a little nervous with that too is it's a cash
Yeah.
thing, with the police. So if they decide they wanna put it on Route 50 or closer to 57, are police gonna be able to get there in time if something happens? Or are they gonna have, like, when they have to transfer their money, are they gonna have to be, have some, like, armored car come and do that? So they're not carrying it out the back door and somebody's waiting for them? I don't know how that would work, or if that's on them.
Yeah,
Yes.
there are a lot of security regulations in the state law, you know, elaborate camera requirements and I'm sure to the extent that it's gonna be a cash-based business at first, that they are gonna probably have somebody come take steps.
Scary.
No.
The bank.
I'm always being out there.
So what do we need to do right now as a board? I mean, we can send this to P and Z.
Yeah,
So
right,
there's-
you know, if, you don't even have to necessarily pick a distance, if you wanna leave it to P and Z and just bring back a
Yeah.
recommendation for you, that's fine. But we just wanted to make sure that you're comfortable with the basic setup and then get a consensus if we're ready to move this on to P and Z.
Can we just say, like, just throw in 250 feet?
Sure.
From schools and parks?
Schools,
and-
parks,
And leave the
and,
rest out of it.
Trustee Maravka mentioned daycares.
Yeah, I know, but.
The daycares can move around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
It
just
says
leave it at
spot.
schools and parks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think right now we just have the
And then,
one, but
you know, we'll
people
take
do their
input from
house.
what they say and go from there.
Sure.
Okay?
What pages on it?
That's on page 7.
And so the way this is written, it's, what districts are we allowing it in? Just B3 and I1, is that right?
And
or-
I2,
And I2, okay,
but the medical cultivation centers are only in I2.
okay.
Any interest in the other businesses?
I think,
There's no revenue for
Right.
those the same way, so,
And I think a lot of those-
They're
they're
because
gonna
they
need
have
more-
vacant buildings that they're
right.
trying to fill up or something.
I mean, you could let P and Z talk about it,
Sure.
and then have them bring a recommendation back to the
Okay,
board.
that sounds good.
Great,
So with that, everyone's comfortable sending it
Yep.
good, thank you. Anything else from the board before we go into executive session?
I got one more thing.
Oh, sorry, I skipped that. Item E, reschedule the November 11th, 2019 regular village board meeting, that is Veterans Day. So the village hall will be closed that day. So we'd be looking at probably Tuesday, November the 12th. Does that work for everybody at 7 PM?
I won't be here.
Okay. Good,
Yeah.
good. Wayne, okay? Shelley, yes?
Yes.
Peter,
I'm,
probably.
Monday, either day would have been a problem for me.
Okay, all right, well, we've got 4 for
Yeah.
sure, so we have a quorum. So we will, a motion to change that November 11th, 2019 regular village board meeting and reschedule it to Tuesday, November 12th at 7 PM.
Am I a deciding vote? No, maybe.
That still gives us 3 and me, so that's still a quorum if we're
Okay.
all able to be here.
We're going somewhere, I just don't know where I'm going.
Okay. Alright, well, we'll shoot for that, we'll put that motion forward for the 12th. If I find out we have a quorum issue prior to it, then we can always
Okay.
cancel the meeting
Yeah.
and repost it.
I'll motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Marevka, second by trustee Ham.
Marevka?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Jones?
Yep.
And March.
Yes.
Questions of the press? No press present. Anything else from the board before we go into executive session? All right, a motion to go into executive session to review executive session minutes for possible release. A motion to do so. Second?
Second.
A motion by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee Marevka.
Jones?
Yes.
Marevka?
Yes.
March?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
And we will go into executive session.